So, today we're exploring a piece of history that is at once deeply tragic and also profoundly inspiring.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a story of violence, survival, and the enduring legacy of a community leader, all rooted in this single event, the San Juan Massacre of 1937.
It's such an important story, and it really begins on March 12th, 1937, in the Garifuna community of San Juan Tela in Honduras.
Right.
The country was under the rule of Tiburcio Carías Andino, and after a failed insurrection, the government, well, they decided to make a brutal example of the Garinagu.
The details are just chilling. Government soldiers led by a Tomas Martinez, they just unleashed this wave of terror.
Wow.
I mean, they rounded up men, looted homes, and then, in a final act of just pure horror, forced many to dig their own graves before executing them.
And in the midst of all that chaos, countless families were just shattered. They were forced to flee for their lives.
Yeah,
And among those who managed to escape was a widow, Apolinaria Petillo Lambey, who fled to the safety of Belize with her young son, Pablo Lambey.
in that moment of survival, of forced migration, it would just shape the entire course of his life.
Totally.
And it's also fascinating how the blog sort of connects the dots on why his family was even in Honduras to begin with.
Right, it wasn't by choice at all.
No, a new tax system had actually forced many Garinagu to migrate there for wage labor, so you see this awful pattern. First displacement by economic hardship, and then displacement by this horrific violence.
And that environment of repression also directly impacted Pablo's father, Estanislao Lamberth.
He chose to resist by joining an armed group fighting the government, and ultimately, well, it was a decision that cost him his life.
And this is where the story just pivots in such a fascinating way.
Yeah, how?
Well, you have the father, who chose the path of armed conflict, and then you have the son, Pablo, who witnessed all of that devastation and chose a completely different strategy.
Exactly. Pablo Lambey's path was one of advocacy, of quiet negotiation, and all this behind the scenes community building.
Right.
Because he saw the terrible consequences of political violence firsthand.
And the blog notes this particularly painful detail,
What is it?
that during the massacre, some Garinagu actually aided the soldiers identifying their own people.
Wow, that must have instilled such a deep, deep awareness of risk.
Oh, for sure.
It makes so much sense then that his leadership style was marked by caution and strategic discretion. He had to navigate a world where the threat of betrayal it was very, very real.
And his strategic approach yielded really powerful results.
Okay.
The blog highlights his crucial role in securing the return of the NGC headquarters, and it presents it as this major victory for his community. And it was all achieved not through force, but through careful maneuvering.
It's such a powerful contrast, isn't it?
It really is.
Two generations, father and son, fighting the same oppression with entirely different methods. Pablo just channeled all those lessons of survival and resilience into a lifelong fight for Garinagu cultural and labor rights.
And that fight did not end with him.
Hmm.
His legacy is actively carried on today by the Pablo Lambey Foundation. It uses education and advocacy to empower future generations and make sure that the history of the Garinagu, both their struggles and their triumphs, is never, ever forgotten.
It's a testament to how the response to a single tragic event can just echo for generations and transform into a legacy of hope and empowerment.
Now, here's a question we'd like you all to think about.
Okay.
The story presents two distinct forms of resistance: armed conflict and strategic advocacy. So, in the face of profound injustice, how do we determine the most effective path forward? And how can we measure the true impact of our choices across generations?